All right, back at 6:30 p.m. Go ahead and call the meeting order. We will be checking let's go with the roll call. Make sure we have a quorum.
Commissioner Mujica?
Present.
Commissioner Jackson? And Chairman Solis.
Present. And that quantifies for a quorum, 3 out of 5. And so we will move on with our meeting. Are there any citizens to be heard? No citizens to be heard, then we'll move forward. Gentlemen, you've had the consent agenda sent to you, so I'm just asking for approval of the agenda from our last meeting. So at this time, I'll entertain, it's both from June and September, the meetings. We have a motion, Mr. Mojica. Second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, we got, let's go to the new business. Public meeting, public hearing on an application from Mark T. Morkowski. I'm hoping I'm close somewhat. On the behalf of the Archdiocese of San Antonio for a special use permit for Antonian High School at 6425 West Avenue, Castle Hills, Texas 78213. More particularly described as City Block 5005A, Block 8, Lot 1, Antonian College Prep, to build a new 2-story locker room and band hall adjacent to an existing structure. At this time, if anybody would like to speak, please come forward for the public hearing. 6:31, I apologize. Seeing no one, then at 6:32, we'll close the public hearing and go straight to discussion and possible action. This is the discussion and possible action on resolution 2024-10-01-A on this application for Mark Morkowski on behalf of the Archdiocese of San Antonio for a special use permit for Antonian High School at 6425 West Avenue, Castle Hills, Texas 78213. More particularly described as City Block 5005A, Block 8, Lot 1, Antonian's College Prep, and to build a new 2-story locker room and band hall adjacent to the existing structure. With that, we'll go into discussion. I have a few questions. I think are you the principal? No? Oh, yes, ma'am. So who are you?
Hi, I'm Melissa Smedley. I am the Building Operations Facility and Transportation Coordinator.
At Antonian?
At Antonian College Preparatory, yes.
No problem. So this is an addition. We've been making different projects happen at Antonian over the last 6 months. So just to make sure, this is adjacent to the parking lot right next door to it, as I can see in the pictures. Let me ask you a simple question. Has there been any contact with the neighborhood?
Yes, we are in communication with the neighborhood. We are working on renderings to have a neighborhood meeting so that they can see the renderings once they're completed.
And so previously that was kind of the operation that went forth. You talked to the community, then you brought it to us. So we appreciate that. I just want to thank you for doing that once again. Our neighbors are important to us. Gentlemen, are there any other questions?
I believe if you are closing the entrance that's over on Foxhall and you're putting trees up along that line.
We are working on a landscape plan. We have a landscape architect out of Dallas that's going to be coming in to help us. They're donating their time to help us come up with some landscape over there next to Foxhall.
And you're closing that Foxhall Lane entrance.
We're not closing any entrances. Are you talking about the one that goes to the back towards the baseball field?
The one that dumps out on Foxhall Lane.
The one that goes directly, well, we have a couple. So when you come up Foxhall Lane, we have 2 that are here. We keep those completely locked. Myself and 2 other people have the combinations to those locks that go out onto Foxhall. And then there's the other one that comes from the baseball field right at the curve that goes on. That one has to remain for maintenance and everything like that. Like Saws has to use that entrance and everything.
So Mr. Jackson, if I would refer you to the picture where you can see the overall aerial.
I've looked at it. It's very interesting.
I don't see there's never been a straight entrance from Rockall into Antonian. It's adjacent to the property, as you remember, on the baseball field. My son went to Central. We have many games there. And so very familiar with the way it works into it. It can be perceived, but it does go, around it and does not go directly So you're thinking there was no fence that,
No,
or
but
gate?
I believe that there is an exit from that parking lot directly onto Foxhall.
Oh, there is.
One-
I can see
that's
it.
the one-
There is, and
Okay.
we changed the locks last year when I became head of facilities at Antonian. I've changed the locks on that, and only myself and our vice principal and our dean of students has that.
So to answer his
accommodation.
question, are they open during what time? Is that
We
gated?
never open them.
So there's your point, Mr.
Only
Jackson.
time we will
That's what
open
I'm
them
thinking, yeah.
is if we have a bus that can't maneuver out of the parking lot and it's a huge vehicle that we might have to open it up for, but it's rarely ever happens.
So is it by policy or decision by you guys, or was that a compromise with the community to keep it locked?
A little of both.
Okay. That was your point, Senora said.
Our students only exit out onto West Avenue, which was the concern for the neighborhood.
That makes sense. Does that feel comfortable, sir? Okay. So I'll need a motion.
So moved.
I'll need a second.
Second.
I have yes, sir. Oh,
Jackson, could you be slightly more specific of your motion? For your motion to recommend that the city council approval of the application on behalf of.
I'll move it. We approve the resolution that's specified in the minutes of the meeting.
in the agenda,
I'm sorry,
as per the agenda.
on the agenda, yes.
That makes it more formal. Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Mr. Mojica did a second. We have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to go to the city council as outlined in the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, gentlemen, next item. Public hearing on an application from Mr. Mehta for zoning of the property at 1405 Jackson Keller Road, Castle Hills, Texas, 78213. More particularly described as Lot 24, Block 1, Castle Hills, City Block 103. City of Castle Hills, Bexar County, Texas, according to plat thereof recorded in volume 5970, page 77, deed and plat records of Bexar County to zoning district G. This is a public hearing. Does somebody want to make us talk about it or give us a background? At 6:37, I'm opening the public hearing and asking for anybody to come forward to speak about it. Yes, sir. Please give us your name.
Dr. Joseph Monier,
Okay.
former Central grad.
I know, I remember you well.
Practiced dentistry at 1405 Jackson Keller for 30 years now. I've retired and sold my practice to Dr. Vaidehi Mehta, who has taken over the practice. And we're trying to get certificate of occupancy to transfer utilities.
Okay.
So we have to change the zoning for that.
Not a problem. Thank you, sir. Are there anybody else willing to speak to this item now that it's being up for our public hearing? Yes, sir. Please come forward. Do you have some questions or thoughts? Please provide them.
I guess I'm David Handley. We live here in Castle Hills, but we have our house is at 100 Whitford Way, but we purchased a property at 202 Antler, which has abuts this property in question that they're talking about. I guess my question is, they're wanting to change it to Zone G, which I understand opens it up to
General business.
general business, which could be a restaurant, anything in the future. I understand that's not the intention possibly right now, but once the zoning change is made and the property is resold possibly or whatever, could it become a restaurant?
I think part of and you are correct. The assumption is correct that once you change the zoning, then there is possibilities in the future, not immediately, as outlined, it'll be another dental office. However, I think the part that you and the neighbors, we are very cognizant is the traffic. It would be crazy for anybody to zone it properly or allow it to be able to be bought for that, because the traffic will be there so congested to be impossible. It does bleed into Jackson Keller, not necessarily to the other streets, and it does not go to the community except right there to Lee.
Right.
So I think that would be the only concern, but you are concerned, that is correct. That the assumption is that once we change it, whether it's next year, the year after, or even after passage, that it could go to hands that are general business.
And I guess I didn't understand the reason for that he mentioned that he wanted to change, needed to change to general.
I'll get my staff up here. Do you want to come forward and say why the changes had to take place now? If Mr. Monier had it for 30 years, it would make sense that we had the antiquated zoning rules. And so therefore, please.
That's correct. The new ownership requires some business to come into current compliance, which is how we catch the massage establishments that we talked about last meeting. The analogous case. Ownership changed. I went in to do a zoning analysis on it, saw that it was an E. So at the time, perhaps zoning said that a dentist office could exist in an E, or perhaps there was some oversight. But we don't live in the past. We live in the future, or we live in the now. And the new owner is required to do things consistent with the zoning. E does not allow a dentist office.
Okay. So
Period.
I want to provide a little bit of clarification and context. So over the years, what we have been doing in Castle Hills is upgrading our zoning laws and designations. A lot of them were antiquated, years old, and not necessarily reflective of what the community wanted for today's world. And so therefore, this really precipitated what's going on, is that anytime a property is sold or reconstituted, they have to adhere to what we have approved, the council has approved for zoning for that area. And thus it becomes, because it's Jackson Keller, the possibility for G does exist. As outlined by our staff, the previous one was E. However, that no longer is applicable for a dentist office to be within an E. So therefore, it was almost systematic that it had to take place, but it does create what you're concerned about, a bigger spans. It does. And now, but you know, I mean, one of the things that we've been addressing, like I said, and I'll reiterate, was providing, upgrading our system of how we want conducive and compatibility, and thus the designations were created accordingly.
Okay, well, that was our concern, because obviously it's across the street from the high school, and if it was a fast food or convenience store, it could be a meeting spot for lots of kids. So
yeah, and because it's on Jackson Keller, it lends itself to being more business, more traffic than we would in the neighborhoods, of course.
okay, I guess that's all I have. Thank you.
But thank you for coming, and appreciate you being here. This is what it's all about. Are there any? Yes, ma'am. Please come forward, doctor.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vaidehi Mehta. I took over from amazing Dr. Monier, and I'm just here to reassure him that dental offices really cannot move. They are set to be dental offices for long term. So I understand his concern, and till the certificate of occupancy was applied, we didn't even know a zoning change was needed. So on my end, as of now, I guess the zoning change and the certificate of occupancy is important for me to continue doing what I need to do for my patients. So that's all I wanted to say.
So I do have some questions for you. Then in terms of the operation, you're looking at what hours?
What hours? It's open Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 8 to 5.
Okay. So nothing after 5 o'clock.
No.
And then how many chairs are there? Or is it just gonna be you, or are you gonna have some other practitioner with you?
It's only going to be me. My husband's a dentist, so it's possible he can be there. I have 2 other providers who are dental hygienists.
Okay.
And we have 6 operatories.
And the way it works is you assume Dr. Monier's legacy in terms of clients and everybody that's been there. So just to make the point once again for the neighborhood, you shouldn't see an influx of new people. It's the people that have been going forever, and perhaps new patients that you will acquire.
Absolutely.
So any other questions?
No.
Thank you. Then at 6:44, I will close the public hearing. and move straight to item number 4.4, discussion and possible action on resolution 2024-10-01-B of an application from Dr. Mehta for rezoning of the property at 1405 Jackson Keller Road, Castle Hills, Texas, 78213, more particularly described as Lot 24, Block 1, Castle Hills City, Block 103, City of Castle Hills, Bexar County, Texas, according to the plat thereof in volume 5970, page 77, deed and plat records of Bexar County, Texas to zoning district G. I will also say, for your consideration, if you saw my black car going through your neighborhood and in your backyard, that was me driving around to make sure what was available and what was not. Well kept, doctor, very good job. It looks secure, it looks safe. I saw the cameras, I saw everything back there. So congratulations on that. With this time, I'll take a motion for approval. Mr. Mojica?
Second.
No, you're the first on motion now. This time it's your turn.
I'll make a motion that we approve the change of zoning to District G for the property at 1405 Jackson Keller Road.
Second.
That is a form of a recommendation to the city council.
Yeah.
However.
Correct.
And the adoption of resolution 224-10-01-B.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Attorneys keep us in line. And we have a second. So having a motion and a second and ended all discussion at this point, then we'll go move it. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Nobody.
Chairman, as a reminder, both these items will be on the council meeting next week.
No problema. Also, as we move forward, we were going to have two briefings, but since we don't have a majority council commission today, then we're going to move forward to the next meeting. We'll bump those briefings. I want to make sure that we understand as we look forward, some of the issues that we need to be rebriefed on, so that we'll go from that. So if not, then at 6:47 p.m., yes, sir.
Chairman, I'll move it. We change the November meeting from the 5th to the 6th.
We have a motion for the item number 4.7, which is moving the zoning commission meeting from November 5th to November 6th. All those in favor? Oh, we have a motion and a second.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir. At this point, I'll take a motion for adjournment at 6:47 p.m.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second? I'll second it. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Go watch the debate. Thank you all. Bye.